What's going on, boxing fans? It's Julian Williams with The Distance. I have a mailbag question for you guys today from WQ821. This one is about fighters being mentally prepared for fights and really not having the best performances, as evident in the fight on Saturday between Antonio DeMarco and Edwin Valero. Really, throughout history, it's happened quite a bit with fighters who are mentally prepared for fights, but when the fight starts, they become just totally different fighters than what they normally are. Antonio DeMarco is a notoriously slow starter in fights. Really, I think, like I said in my post-fight video, he had the game plan of pretty much coming out and having the strongest showing late. But, DeMarco was just never able to get off. Because I think sometimes not only is it, being mentally prepared, but it's overall preparation for the fight. It's how they prepare and what they get, and pretty much what they're ready for, what they expect. And I think that Valero fought, beyond their expectations. I think he fought better than they expected him to. And and it's evident, and it's happened a lot in history where fighters come into the ring and they're mentally prepared for fights, but it ends up being a big upset, like 1978 Muhammad Ali versus Leon Spinks. And even though this is an old Muhammad Ali, he was prepared for the fight mentally, but overall, physically, he wasn't, physically or whatever. He just wasn't in it. He wasn't really in the fight. With Leon Spinks, he's getting beat to the punch and everything in that fight. I thought Spinks barely won the fight, but that's one example of being, just prepared for the fight and just physically not showing up. And another one is Ali versus Holmes. And like again I said, even though this is an older incarnation of Muhammad Ali, he was mentally prepared for the fight, physically prepared, but when he got to the fight, he just wasn't in it. Another one I can think of that's kind of recent, Prince Nassim Hamed versus Marco Antonio Barrera. That's another one where a fighter was mentally prepared and just didn't show up. And even Kevin Johnson versus Vitaly Klitschko, another fight that's in that same category. Fighters who are being put, fighters on the main stage who pretty much mentally are kind of in the fight, but they just don't show up. And I think in DeMarco's case, in this fight, I think that Valero did a lot better than he anticipated him to. Because like I said, they were preparing for a different fight than what they expected. They were preparing for a different fight, and really Valero just impressed me, impressed a lot of people. He was using his jab, he moved his head, he actually ducked underneath some shots. He set up his shots well, put his shots together well. And I know that DeMarco wasn't prepared for it. DeMarco just was not prepared for that type of fight. He was, mentally, I think really it just has to do with strategy. Mentally, DeMarco was there. DeMarco was ready, for this opportunity. And I think that in a way, it was a lot of these fighters who kind of show up mentally prepared, but not prepared in the ring. I think it all boils down to strategy. Who's in your corner, whatever. I think that's what it boils down to, is strategy for these fights. If you don't have a plan A, you have to have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D and a plan E, and you just have to keep going on and on. Sometimes you have to mix these plans up together and put them together and try to get the win. But with DeMarco, I didn't see, in this fight, I didn't really see a plan B. I didn't see what DeMarco could do if Valero's punch output went down, or like in the Klitschko Johnson matchup. Johnson, all he did was slip shots, and was barely thrown. And Vitaly was kind of doing the same thing the whole fight, just swarming. And it was working for him, and Johnson didn't really have an answer for it. Another fight I could think of. Another fight I could think of when there's no plan A, B, or C. Was the Angulo Cintron match when Kermit Cintron pretty much outboxed Alfredo Angulo for over 12 rounds. But Angulo pretty much kept fighting that same style or whatever. And Manny Pacquiao, Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto came out jabbing, and he at least had a plan B, but didn't have a plan C. So really it comes into not mental preparation, but just preparation to fight. I think that's really what it is, more so than anything else. I think it's preparation for a fight. Not being there mentally, because a lot of fights are there mentally, but not there strategically. And I think that's what it all boils down to. I think it's strategy when you have fights like these, when fighters show up mentally prepared and they're not prepared for what to expect. I think it all boils down to strategy. But anyway, that was my mailbag question, my second one for the day. So if anybody has a question, I'll answer on video for you. But anyway, thanks for watching. That was The Distance. Peace.